Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one is awesome. This is with AJ Ramirez from AJ's Custom Cookers in Fort Worth, Texas. I wanted to talk to AJ for a long time because what he creates is something truly custom. It's his. You could go to ajscustomcookers.com and see examples of what he does, but he can pretty much do anything. He's been welding since he was 15 years old. This is in his blood. This is what he does. A lot of people, and I had heard before I had a chance to speak with him, that a lot of people come to him with a problem. Like they get a cooker from somebody, they get one on Craigslist, and there's issues with it. So they go to him and he reconfigures it. He can do anything. I really love this because he has such knowledge about welding. We go into, at the beginning, we go into all the three types of welding, what they are. He's an expert at all of them, but he's an expert at TIG welding, and he goes into what that is, because I'd heard all these terms before, but I really didn't know specifically what they were. He's standing outside of his facility, which is at his house, and at the very, very end, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you'll want to check out the YouTube version. I'll have a link below, because he gives us a tour of the facility and of the guys working with him. This one is great. He's done stuff for Zavala. He's done stuff for Patriotic Pig, for Hurtado. He's working on something for Jim and Mandilero from Lillian's Barbecue. And I think what stands out, and I think what you'll get from this interview, is what kind of person he is. He's a family guy. He has integrity. He says specifically, he's not here to make $1 million. He's here to make a living for him and his family and for his team, but he's also there to put out amazing product and to bend over backwards for his customers. And his lead time right now is 11 months. It was 16 months. He's cut it down to 11 months, which really isn't bad in the pit building world. There's lead times which are much longer. I really think you're gonna enjoy this. Thanks so much for listening. And this episode is brought to you by the Smoke Sheet. The Smoke Sheet is a barbecue newsletter, but to call it a barbecue newsletter is underselling it. It is a weekly guide to the news and happenings in the barbecue world, as well as custom content about things in the barbecue world. They recently had a piece on whole hog that was super in-depth. They have some great ones coming up. The Smoke Sheet was started by Ryan Cooper, who is at BBQ Tourist, and Sean Ludwig, who is at NYC Barbecue. The two of them teamed up. They are traveling all over the place. So follow them on the regular social media, so that way you get super jealous of all the cool stuff they're doing. But most definitely sign up for the Smoke Sheet. It's at bbqnewsletter.com. That's bbqnewsletter.com. There's news, there's links and information on barbecue podcasts, barbecue YouTube stuff, barbecue Vimeo stuff, barbecue joint openings and closings, and where people are going, because a lot of people shuffle around in the barbecue world, or they're open up new second locations. And there is that barbecue recipe of the week, which is a really good recipe. And if you go to bbqnewsletter.com, there's an archive with all the old Smoke Sheets and all the old recipes, so you can check out all of those. It's definitely a great resource. Oh, and also there's links to all the events coming up, all the barbecue events, which is super handy. It's hard to keep track of everything. So when you get a chance, go to bbqnewsletter.com, sign up. Every Wednesday, you'll get this in your inbox. The Smoke Sheet is barbecue news worth consuming. And if you're liking these, please subscribe to the podcast. That way you don't miss out. I do at least one or two of these weeks, sometimes more. So if you do subscribe, you end up seeing it in your feed and you don't miss out. I would hate for you to miss out. Also on the YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/Kevin's BBQ Joints. If you're listening to this just on the podcast, subscribe to that and put on notifications, so that way I end up in your feed too, because there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. There's a lot of cool stuff that I have, and like I said, I put out one or two of these per week, so don't want you to miss out. I also have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com with links to all my podcast stuff, YouTube stuff, all the new content that I'm putting out, as well as Abe Delgado from the I Crush Barbecue Show and myself. We put out a weekly list of all the barbecue pop-ups and underground stuff in Los Angeles. So you want to make sure you check that out. That way you don't miss out on any of those, because there's some cool stuff, and it's changing every week, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming on board with that too. So thank you so much for listening. I super appreciate it. Send me a direct message. Let me know what you're thinking, if there's anything I'm missing out or something really cool about it. I definitely appreciate it. It's the feedback helps out, and I hope you have a great week or weekend if you're listening to this right before the weekend. Take care. Good morning, AJ. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. So yeah, like you said, we've been meaning to do this for a long time. What's a usual now that, like, I'm sure you're constantly getting busier and busier. What's a usual day like for you?
Well, I limit my busyness. I try not to be so busy that I don't interfere with my daily routine. My daily routine is waking up every morning, getting the kids ready for, now that it's summer, getting ready for camp, getting ready for daycare. We get off to daycare, and I'm usually in the shop by about 8 o'clock.
Do you have two kids?
I got 5 kids.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Oh wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Full house. So I mean, I can show you. You're in my backyard. I work from home,
Oh great.
so that's my house. My camper's in the way right now because we're getting ready for our vacation.
Nice.
There's literally 2 kids running around the backyard right now. Um, yeah. So because we're getting ready for vacation, we're not doing camp this week, and uh, it's just for me. When the kids are in school, I get a good full work day in. During the summertime, I'm in and out. I'm in and out. But luckily, I depend on my team to really help out with that process.
And your shop is there on premises right there.
Yeah, yeah, I got everything right here, man. I do depend on a couple of outside sources for my laser cutting and stuff like that. But my outside sources are really good friends. These guys are awesome. To have a part of your team.
Yeah.
When I started this, I was all by myself, and I learned real quick. Well, I say real quick, about 5 or 6 years into it, that it's
That's quick enough.
you can't do it by yourself. And I've been in business going on 10 years now, and it's one of those things where once I finally decided to make the full pledge into doing this full time, I was like, okay, the first thing I have to do is get help.
No, that's smart. I think with anything you do, I think that's smart.
Man, that is true. Just as a family, even a family, you need everybody to pull their own weight and to help out. And the biggest part for me now is answering emails, phone calls, stuff like that. And I'm not able to stay as focused as I used to be doing this stuff, and I used to be able to just to turn my phone off in a day and turn it back on and only have like one missed call. Now it's like I try to get in there and work with these guys, and I get 2, 3, 4 hours in, and I'm constantly in and out, and they're like, just go out there and do what you got to do to bring us more work. And
That's so funny.
doing here, yeah, I've been, the past month or two, I've really been trying to make an effort to get out and
That's smart.
network a little bit more. I think the difference in me and a lot of people is I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to have a whole lot of work. I want to be able to get the kids to the doctor when it's time, and if something happens, I need to be there for them. And that's the whole reason I basically started doing this business.
Did you grow up in Texas?
I grew up in South Texas. I'm from Corpus Christi originally.
Okay.
My dad worked for Brown and Root, so I traveled all over the Gulf Coast. We went from Corpus Christi to Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, made our way all the way around. And by the time I was 14 years old, I was planted right here in Fort Worth. And I love this place, man. Texas is a wonderful spot.
It is. It's amazing, and it's also interesting how much it's growing. Fort Worth is growing like crazy, not just barbecue wise, but in general.
Oh my God! Like when we moved out here, I live in a little town called Saginaw. When we moved out here, about 10 years ago, it was a nice country town. Now there's so many people in this town. We've got 8 new schools. We've got new roads coming in, new retail areas, and it's insane how much Fort Worth is growing. And, since I've been making my way around town to all these little barbecue pop-up guys, man, it's like, holy crap, this used to be the ghetto. Now it's, look at this. You guys are bringing this spot up, and it's good to see. It really is good to see.
And it is nice to see areas revitalized because of food or for whatever it is, arts or
Yeah. Yeah, I remember my dad, whenever we used to go around to over there where Panther City is in East Fort Worth, you didn't walk those streets.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't drive those streets. You were there. If you had to go over there, you were there for a reason, and you got the hell out of there.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it's like you can go from Panther City to a brewery to a little Mexican restaurant with ease, no problem, and it's great. It really
awesome.
is great to see.
You know what's funny is a quick aside. I went to college in San Diego at San Diego State in San Diego, and when I went to college downtown San Diego, you wouldn't go down at night because it was so dangerous. And now it's like bustling and it's changed, and it's amazing how what happens to cities.
I went to San Diego. I drove a smoker to San Diego 2 years ago, and that was the worst damn drive I've ever made, man. If you're going to San Diego, you take 5 gas cans in the back of your truck. That's just all there is to it. Just in case. It scared the hell out of me, man.
So then, were you a welder by trade?
Yes, that's all I know. You give me a hammer and nails, and I'm going to have some busted up fingers. My dad by trade was an insulator.
Okay.
And when we landed in Fort Worth, he was running an insulation shop, and on the other side of that insulation shop was a stainless steel fabrication business.
Huh.
And if you've ever rolled around in insulation, it's not fun.
No, no, no. And
And
I've helped
so,
guys.
so
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, so my dad's dragging me, to work with him every summer because we didn't have daycare, or, somebody to watch me, and I was a bit of a hellion. So, he would take me to work with him, and I'm constantly looking across the shop at all the sparks flying and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, I want to go check that out. So finally, I think he got tired of it, and he just walked me over to the other side and introduced me to the main guy over there. He said,
It's a teacher.
yeah, this is a hard-working kid right here. Put him to work, and of course, I was sweeping floors and pushing dollies around, but it wasn't long, man. I had my hands on a grinder and I was polishing stainless steel, and then the next thing I know, I'm welding stainless steel, and by the age of 15, I was TIG welding like crazy.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
a natural. Yeah, I was a natural. I loved it. I felt like it was what I was supposed to do.
I'm glad I'm talking to you for a lot of reasons, but that's really a neat thing. That's amazing. So it's your calling. It really is what you.
It really is. I mean, I have no desire to do anything else. Here at the house, if something goes wrong, I'm calling a handyman. You know, I got a plunger. I'll go plunge that toilet. But other than that, I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I'm out.
Before I forget to ask you, what I hate to be naive. What does TIG welding mean? What does that mean?
So TIG welding. If you know anything about welding, there's three basic types. There's MIG welding, which is where you pull the trigger on the gun, the wire comes out, automatically feeds the wire into whatever you're welding. There's stick welding. That's what every pipe welder does, barn builder does. These guys that are out running rigs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's where you put the stick in the holder, and then you go to welding stuff up. TIG welding is more of an art. It's more of a specialized type of deal. It's called heliarc welding, and it's basically tungsten used welding where you're feeding the rod, and it's basically used in commercial areas where you need sanitation.
Okay.
Because there's no sparks flying. It's not dirty. It's very controlled.
Very precise.
Yes, very precise welding.
Okay.
And like I say, in the stainless steel field, that's really what you have to have. You can't turn out a dirty product. That's where I feel that my attention to detail first started. Being a TIG welder, you can't make mistakes. If you're in a food plant or a pharmaceutical company welding up stainless steel, there's a lot of people's lives at stake.
For sure.
You can contaminate the stainless steel. You could really mess it all up. And go back, and then you have to grind, and if you're grinding, throwing dust in a food plant or
That's true.
or a pharmaceutical area, then you're having to shut the whole place down.
Interesting.
And that's bad. That's bad for everybody.
Yeah. What were you welding at the time with that guy? Were you doing projects for him?
Yeah, with that company, I started welding conveyor equipment for food plants. Food processing plant. You name it. Gatorade. Stuff like that. Liquid filled products, food products. And when I graduated high school, well, actually my senior year of high school, I got into the work program, and that's where I was every single day at 12 o'clock. I'd haul butt to work, and I'd work till 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And being I do have 5 kids, I did have a kid early, so I knew college wasn't for me. I had to start making money right away.
It is hard making money, yes.
Oh man, in that industry, it's very tempting because if you're good at it, you can make a lot of money.
That's what I've heard. A lot of people have said that it's a great career path.
Absolutely. So when I was 18, 19, 20, I was making $100,000 a year.
Wow.
And for a 20-year-old, that's insane.
That's a lot of,
So once that company kind of sold out, I hired on with another company, and they were traveling all over the U.S. And so then I flipped from kitchen equipment to pharmaceutical equipment, and that's where things really changed. Tax bracket and everything. I was making $100,000 doing food equipment to $250,000 doing pharmaceutical equipment.
That's amazing.
And if you're, oh my God, I've tried to tell my kids, if you're not going to go to college, which I've got very smart children, I hope they all do go to college. I feel this is a dying trade. But if you're not gonna go to college, you need to pick up a trade, and and I've got the skills to show you guys if you're interested.
Yeah.
None of them are interested, but
When you say it's a dying trade, do you mean there's not that many people going into it?
With the way things are today, a lot of it's computer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's even computer robots that are welding.
Okay.
So you go to these trade shows, and these welding shows, and they show you, look, watch this robot weld this, and it's like, well, shit, where does this guy go? You know, like, well, somebody's got to be programming it. Well, guess what? That guy doesn't have the skills I have.
Yeah.
You know, the guy programming it, or I don't have the skills that guy has. So, you know, they're there.
But
You know,
there'll always be a
creators-
place for welders.
Absolutely. There's, man, it's huge. It's huge for any, you know, mainly MIG welding and stick welding. It's huge. But the specialized TIG welding and heliarc welding, that's something that you have to go find. You know, you can't just toss a MIG welder into a heliarc place and go, hey, go weld this up. They're not going to know how to do it.
Okay, makes sense.
You know, it's something that and I started backwards. I started doing heliarc TIG welding, and then I went to MIG welding, and then I was doing stick welding just so that I could know how to stick weld. You know, most people go stick welding
Gotcha.
to MIG welding to heliarc. If they're lucky, they learn that trade, and they're like, that's where they stop, because if they can, this is where the money is, you know. So they get all that money doing that, and you know, if you can learn how to be detail oriented, clean, and you know, pretty persistent, you can stay in this field and make some money at it.
When did you make your first smoker?
So I was working at one of the pharmaceutical companies, and they had this stuff. I was 21, 22 years old. And they had this barrel sitting there, and it was a piece of mild steel rolled material that was sitting in a stainless steel shop, and nobody touched it. I mean, we're talking guys that come to work in you know, nice pants and shirts and go home leaving the exact same way. You know, we're welding with rubber gloves on, and you know, sometimes we have to have, you know, nets on and stuff, so we're really clean. So that piece of pipe just stayed over there, and I talked to one of the supervisors. We were doing a night shift for a couple of weeks, and I said, can I use that for something? And he's like, get rid of it. He goes, I don't, nobody wants it around here. So I went next door, and I cut some circles out for the end caps and stuff, and just started slapping it together. Well, lo and behold, here come a couple other guys. Hey, what are you doing? I want to help. And next thing I know, we spit out this cool little trailer, and they didn't make me pay for it or nothing.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, yeah, we did some cooking on it there at the shop, and then they're like, well, you know, it's time for it to get out of here. So I took it home, and I had it for 5 or 6 years, and I think I finally sold it at a garage sale. I wish I'd have kept it, because it's one of those things where you just kind of want to hang on to.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely. Nostalgic, too. Yeah.
You go back, and you're like, man, I wish I'd have hung on to that thing, because it's really cool. It was different, you know, it was a different type of build, but I've always been a different kind of guy. You know, I try not to follow the lead of everybody else, you know, that's doing the same thing over and over again.
So did people come to you after that and say, hey, you know, can you make me something? Or
no, man, the way it worked is, you know, I've always had a full-time job up until 5 years ago. I never pushed smokers or anything, but cooking was always in me. Smoking was always in me. I love fire. You know, so it's like I just have a need to make fire. Bad as that sounds.
I'm sure everyone listening to this right now feels the same way.
You know, a pit master, a guy that's welding, you have to enjoy the heat and the fire, and I'm mesmerized by it.
Yeah, same with me.
I can sit by a smoker or a fire pit forever and be totally happy. But you know, back to that, I didn't touch another smoker for years and years and years, and when we finally got our house over here about 10 years ago, our old house, we call it our starter house, I just started building these little 55-gallon drum kind of sideways smokers with a little 20-inch pipe for a firebox on the bottom.
Okay.
And then a neighbor bought it, because I was just like, you know, I think I can make some of these. And a neighbor bought it. Mind you, I'm working out of the garage, a two-car garage, but half of it belonged to my wife. So every day I'd have to pull the wife's car out, weld up a little barrel drum smoker, and every one of them took me a couple of days. And so the neighbor bought that one. He says, hey, my buddy wants one just like it. So I made one for him. And next thing I know, I'm building 10 of these things every 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, I said, I'm just going to build these little 55-gallon drums. It'll stay like this forever. Well, yeah.
Look what.
Oh, man. I started having a lot of fun doing it, you know, and we only had one kid at the time, and I was telling her, I was like, you know, I said, this is going to be something I'm just going to kind of do here and there, part-time. Next thing I know, every day after work, I'm in the garage. Every weekend, I'm in the garage, and within a year or so, I was building things that just wouldn't fit in the garage. I was building smokers for local bars and stuff like that just wanted a smoker in the back.
Like a 250 or a?
No. These are fabricated parts. These were rectangle chambers that I was
actual, like the ones that you show on your website.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I call it my kind of stuff. You know, no,
it's very unique to you. It is very unique. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't touch a 250 until probably 6 months into building those little drum ones. I built my first 250 on a trailer, and I couldn't shut the garage door. Like the wife was pissed off because I was trying to paint in there and stuff, and she's like, "You're making my house stink. This isn't working." So I only worked in the garage for a year, and the main reason I actually quit working in the garage is because I went to pull a plug on a tank that I thought was totally empty. Mind you, I had known my lesson. I've learned from then. And when that plug popped, there was still some residual pressure in there, and it shot up, and it put a lot of propane into the house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but the gauge was reading empty, and I was novice. I was go getter. I want to do this, and I want to make something of it. And that was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and my house just stunk of propane. So I called the wife and I said, "Hey, don't come home.
Yeah,
The house is horrible." I told her to go get a hotel room. She came home long enough to get some clothes. She went and got a hotel, and I spent all night cleaning the house and trying to get that smell out of there.
how
And
do you
man,
get
if
it
you
out?
ever,
Just by with fans and
oh God, no, man, I tried everything. Bleach on the concrete because it's a liquid
yeah.
at the bottom, and so it had oozed out some of the liquid onto the ground, and it's horrible. Like it staples big time, man. It doesn't go away. Like you can wash your hands of it as much as possible, and it just doesn't come off. I was using thinner. I went and bought thinner. I was scrubbing the concrete with thinner, Dawn dish soap, bleach, you name it. I was trying everything. Finally, like it took 2 days to finally get the smell manageable. My neighbors thought something exploded. My neighbors were calling the gas company saying there's a gas leak, and
Oh,
I was man, it tore me up. It really did. It tore me up, and that was definitely lesson learned. So couple weeks after that, I started looking around for shops, just local shops that weren't going to charge me an arm and a leg.
yeah, yeah.
And once I got the shop, I was I had little things in the shop. So I've got this big shop and not a whole lot of stuff in there because I moved my garage equipment out there, and it's like, well, now I got to fill this shop up. So I found a shop for like $650 a month, and I thought, well, if I'm going to keep paying this, I'm going to have to do something. So here in Texas, I don't know if it's all over the United States. We have this thing called thrifty nickel.
You know what? I think I've only heard of it in Texas. I remember reading about
Yeah.
it on your website, but also I've heard when I lived in Texas. That's the only place I think. I think we had
So I
we have the penny saver is what we had out here.
something that's basically like that. Only old people read it. It's like I was like, well, I need to do something. And this was before Facebook, before Instagram, and so I put an ad in the thrifty nickel, and lo and behold, this old man calls me, and he's got this I don't even know what size it was, but it was a propane tank, and it was a ball, one of those round propane
Uh-huh.
tanks. And he had this outlandish idea to put it on a skid and put a firebox to the side and hinge it upward to look like Pac-Man and stuff like that. And I thought, yeah, sure, let's do it. I need to pay for this shop. Man, I got that ball in my shop, and I built a skid for it, and I didn't know what to do with it. I just sat there and stared at it, and I've learned that's my solution to fix problems. I'll just stare at it for something. It could be hours, which is kind of why I think people bring me stuff like that, outlandish things that are like, hey, can you do this? Yeah, sure, and
Well, I've heard
I just
I've heard a little aside. I've heard that if you have an issue with a pit, go to AJ. He'll help you fix it. Or like honestly, people I've talked to many people that have said, hey, I brought it to AJ and he's made it so much better, or he fixed it and redid it or realigned it. Yeah, yeah.
That gives me chills just hearing you say that, because that's kind of where my business turned around. I was doing that propane ball for that guy, and I did it, and he loved it, and it's still working to this day. And then so from there, I'm still working a full-time job, and I was to the point where I was like, well, I need to at least do 2 projects a month to get this shop paid for. Well, now I'm working way too much. I'm working my full job, and I'm working this other smoker job, and I made a business. I registered it and everything, not knowing whether or not it was going to succeed. That old man told his buddy, and then I've got 3 or 4 pits lined up, and I was pretty happy with it, but not anything to where I could say, okay, I'm going to quit my job, and this is what I'm going to do.
What was that moment? What was the turning point?
The turning point for me was I had gotten a job here in Saginaw as a plant manager for a steel company, and I'd put an ad in Craigslist by this point, and I know Craigslist is all over the world, and I was getting phone calls left and right for people wanting smokers. Still nothing like what you see in these restaurants, but just a guy saying, hey, I've got this piece of steel and I got this pipe and I got this. Can you put it together for me? Sure. I didn't
That's
have
what
to
you
do
do.
it. I didn't have to do it. So I just started doing it. And one thing led to another, and I got really busy, and it got to the point to where I felt like I was focused on making this last and work instead of focusing on my normal job. And I was answering phone calls. I found myself going around the corner to talk to a customer about a smoker, and not really focusing on my daily job, which, mind you, my daily job was I was in charge of 40 something people, and I had a
Yeah,
I
you
had a
can't
lot
do
going
that.
on.
That's
No, no. So I felt guilty. I felt bad,
yeah,
and
mentally
I
it
went to
can't. It
the
doesn't work. No.
I went to the owner, and I told him. I said, I think my business, and they knew about my business, so it wasn't anything that was kind of crazy. I went to them and I told them. I said, hey, I think I want to give this a shot, and I want to go try to do this on my own. And my wife's always had my back, and it was just one of those things where I never had the balls big enough to just jump ship. I still didn't have any crazy clientele. Like, to this day, I don't think I have any high powered clientele. Like, I don't have any celebrities or anything. I just have a drive to make people happy.
No, but you have some restaurants.
I've got a few, local guys here. Whenever I told them that I was going to try to do this full time, they backed me 100%. And they're like, if you ever want to come back, you're more than welcome to. If it doesn't work, you can come back. And the only problem with that job is you're clocking in, and if the kids call or if somebody's sick, then you're clocking out. And as an employer, you don't like that in an employee.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my biggest thing. Was like, I really need to be somewhere and do something where I can manage the kids. My wife's she's a successful professional. She's a research scientist for a pharmaceutical company here in town.
Wow.
So if she's in the lab, she can't just hop up and go get the kids.
No.
So it's been my job, to just take care of that part of it. Once I talked to them and they were on board, I felt really comfortable, because I thought if it didn't work, I could go right back over there and everything would just pick up like it was. I'd be a little defeated and probably butthurt, but
Yeah.
it just gave me drive. Once I quit, man, I was talking to Derek Walker this morning. Once I quit, I came to my chair over here in the yard, and I thought I could mow the yard today. I could clean the camper. I could do all of this stuff. All these things came into my mind of things that I could do other than work.
Of course.
And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I literally sat there for hours. And then I just kind of kicked myself in the butt to get up there and just start working. And I got out here and started working. And for a solid year, I built this shop here, and I left the shops I was renting. For a solid year, I did it by myself. And I was managing, but I wasn't managing to where I felt comfortable enough to kind of just be able to talk on the phone. And I felt like I was losing work because my time frame was going further and further back. So I started looking for a welder, and I ran through about 3 or 4 different welders before the right one stuck. And if you have a second, I'd like to introduce those guys to you whenever we're done with this.
Yeah. Like at the end, let's do that. Yeah, that'd be great.
My team is amazing, man. My guy, he's an ex-Marine, a 12-year veteran, and
Oh, wow.
dedicated and devoted as can be. And anytime I've got something I got to do, he's pushing me out the door. And that's what I felt I needed. Somebody I can trust, because this is my property.
Yeah.
You're at my house,
That's
working at my house.
important,
I got kids running everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're just a big family. And so once I hired him, I thought, okay, now I'm going to go talk to some people and kind of make myself known. And I started Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, and started pushing the product a little more. And then next thing I know, we're just covered up. I told my wife to buy me one of those big dry erase boards, and I started filling out everything I had, and I thought, oh my God, we are literally a year behind in work right now.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
And it's crazy. But they were all by custom stuff. They were all, custom fab trailers. They were, all the box type units that I build. A couple of 250s here and there, but people were coming to me for the custom stuff. So the first big tank was Zavala. Zavala showed up here, and I thought it was insane.
Was it a 500 or was it 1,000?
1,000.
1,000. Okay.
It was 1,000, and mind you, I don't follow what all you guys follow.
Yeah, it's insane.
I didn't know I had a gym in my yard when Zavala was standing here. So my work was banks, was or is, it still is. It's banks, it's insurance companies, rehab facilities, corporate people that want to go take this really beautiful smoker and go woo some clients and get some business.
Yeah.
That's who my clientele is. Well, Zavala comes through the door and he's got this 1,000-gallon tank, and so from that point I started researching, and I started getting into what I call y'all's world. I mean, y'all's world, the barbecue world is competition, it's restaurant, and it's these underground guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing the corporate ones and the competition ones. This new world, this is a new world to me.
And it's very new.
And Zavala opened that door, and I thought, man, I said, I damn it, I gave it to him cheap. I gave him that 1,000-gallon cheap. Now that I know what these guys are making on these things, I still haven't upped my prices, by the way. I don't think there's that much work and labor involved to charge $20,000 for a 1,000-gallon smoke. He opened the door. So from that point, I was like, well, let me see, more about this other stuff. And that's actually when I started the Instagram page. And that was a realm into a whole nother universe, my man. That was something that was like, look what I've just got myself into.
I know, it is a rabbit hole.
I have spent my whole life trying to make something beautiful. And there's these guys out here building these tanks. These tanks and making a killing, and I'm like, my God, what have I been doing? Working hard, making all these parts, and these guys are slapping 250s and 500s and 1,000-gallon tanks together and
making crazy, exactly.
Stacked up with work, and so that led to a few other restaurants. We got Patriotic Pig here. Derek Walker's opening up soon. I'm doing for him.
What's the name of his place?
It's called Smokeaholics Barbecue. That's another level guy.
That guy is so cool.
That's what I love about this, is like, Brandon Hurtado. I didn't build his pit. I just made it better.
He had a pit that he needed some work on because it wasn't built properly.
Right.
To his specifications,
He called me, and, I was like, yeah, bring it up here. Let's take a look. And, man, that thing was a mess. And I ended up devoting a whole month solid because his whirlwind started when he dropped that pit off. Brandon Hurtado was a pop-up guy that turned into a guy that's building brick and mortar within a month and a half, and it's like, wow, so he, I told him, I'll work on this pit. Well, then he's calling me, hey, this is happening. And I'm like, shit.
I know, he's giving you a lot more work now.
Yeah, well, so it's like, okay, cool. And then he calls me at 9:00 at night. Hey, I'm standing in front of this trailer. I need you to come pick it up. I hop in the truck. I drive out to Mansfield. We pick up the trailer and come back. Lo and behold, he's got his trailer he's working out of, and stuff like that. It's stuff like that.
The actual, so you can work on, like, I want to get in the weeds and what you can do and what you offer, because obviously it's a lot of stuff. But you can, if you have a trailer too that someone needs work on, you can do that.
What I tell people is, if it's barbecue related and can make your life easier, I'll do it. Because that's what I want to do. I want, I want to be able to get this person off the ground and running. I've started several little catering guys that are doing great at catering now. That they came to me with just a little pit, or hey, build me this little pit, and then it just magnifies from that point on. And next thing you know, they're a full-fledged catering business, quitting their job.
Yeah, and then the next step is who knows what.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do. I do food trucks.
Okay.
I got that one. Can you see that one?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, we build food trucks from the ground up, concession trailers. I make smokers for the back of concession trailers, complete ground up builds. I repair food trucks. Anything that has to do with barbecue and getting out there, getting people out there rolling around is what I'm trying to do.
Any size pit with trailers.
Don't matter. The only thing I don't like doing, I never want to be called a copycat. That's something I never want to be called.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, can you clone a Moberg for this much money?" It's like, no, but Moberg can make you a damn good Moberg. And I'm not trying to do that. There's a spot out here for everybody.
Mm-hmm. You have a specific style.
Yeah, and I try to push my style. Now that's not everybody's style. I get that. But I think that's also kind of why I've leveled my business out. I'm going to build another 40 by 80 shop behind my shop. But that's it. I never want to be more than 3 strong. I feel the attention to detail will go away. I feel a lot of the personable stuff will go away. if I see a pit rolling down the road, I know exactly who that pit belongs to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always said my customers are my family. Anybody and everybody I've built a pit for is always welcome here, and you know they're always calling me, having me come out to their events and stuff, and that's what I want.
What's the best way to get a hold of you, and what's your lead time right now?
Currently, we are at 11 months. I counted for you. I counted because I knew you were going to ask me that question.
I had to ask it.
If we stay hard at it all the time, we're at a solid 11 months right now. This time last year, I was at 16 months.
Okay.
We had to change some things. You know, I realized that there was some gaps that I could have fixed myself. You know, and summertime's really hard for me to stay busy because of all the kids and stuff. But you know, we've adjusted a little bit, and we're doing a better job at getting the product out the door faster. The biggest part of what backs me up is the fact that I can't tell people no. So if a guy comes to me and wants this little pit built, I say, yep, let's get you on the books. We're at 6 months right now. Well, within those 6 months, he has called me and added a warming box, a roof, awnings, sinks, generators. So next thing I know, I find myself mounting this stuff on this trailer, and that's 2 more weeks that I'm behind. And you know, it normally takes us to do one of my fancier builds. It takes us a solid 2 weeks.
Okay.
To do like 1,000 gallon, it'll take us a week. To do 250s on a trailer, it's a week. So that's kind of how I base it all the time, and I give myself a couple days every time just in case something happens.
But right now you're 11 months, which is
right
that's
now,
actually not too bad.
It's not bad compared to the other guys,
Yeah.
you know, I think. And again, I haven't really researched the other guys too much. I don't I don't follow certain builders. I don't follow a bunch of the hype just because
It's probably better for you, I think.
Taints my brain a little bit, you know. I get a little butthurt whenever people call me and they say, "Well, I'm not gonna go with you. I'm gonna go to this other guy." Or like, well, you know, it is what it is. You know, I feel I've got probably the best quality around. You know, when it comes to doing this stuff, and that's just my opinion. You know,
No, I know,
yeah,
and from what I've seen, it's pretty spectacular. And the people that I've talked to too, that I've researched kind of before this, have all said that what you do is not just the build; it's also the customer service and who you are. And
that's what it's all about for me. My wife tells me I get too involved. I get too involved because it really hurts my feelings whenever people go elsewhere. But it is what it is. You know, it's a business. But I will jump through rings of fire for my customers, and that's no lie. If they need something, I'm there for them. That's what I want to be. That's why I have a team.
Yeah.
Because if somebody calls and says, "Man, this happened," or "I need this right away," I'm getting it done. Yeah. That's all there is to it, you know. And my customers, they understand that, and so you know, it's something that I can tell them, hey, you know, I had to jump in real quick and knock this out for these guys, and that's kind of how it's been going.
And their website's AJ's Custom with an S, AJ'sCustomCookers.com.
Yep, AJ'sCustomCookers.com.
And that's the best way to get hold of you. And you also see it's a good website to see kind of examples of what you might want.
Right. So on the website, I highlight the custom stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have any tank builds on there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, well, I really want to push my product. Mm-hmm. You know, I never want to be called a copycat, and I'm not too fond of tanks.
But you could do them, but yeah.
Oh, I can do them, sure, yeah. You know, and I will. Don't get me wrong, I will. I just really want to push my product because I feel they're beautiful. You know, and when one of these things is done, you stand back and you're like, wow, that thing's insane. You know, it's really pretty, and it's something I want to keep pushing now. I can't have everything I want. So these people are wanting 1,000 gallons, 500s, and 250s. Well, you know, sure, let's talk about it. You know.
Yeah. Well, you could do that. Yeah, in your sleep.
I'm no dummy. You know, I'm no dummy. I'm not going to turn it down, of course. So you know, that's kind of where we are currently. But yeah, that's what the website's based off of. And the best way to get a hold of me is my phone number. Unfortunately, again, my wife hates it, but I'll answer my phone any time of the day.
And I'll put your phone number all over this, so that way people will know. Like that way,
yeah,
it'll make sense. And that seems. But also too, you will respond to email, and if someone direct messages you on Instagram, we've talked that way, different ways. Yeah,
I'm fast, man. If somebody sends me a message and I reply, the first thing they say was, "Damn, that's fast." I'm like, hey, if I don't answer right now, somebody else will.
That's true. That's so true.
You're probably not just emailing me.
Do you want to do like a little tour? Want to do some tour and meet those guys and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me.
I think people will dig that. You got it. Good job.
Bobby. That's Bobby.
Hey.
So sideways, keeping it this way. We'll keep it this way. So here's when I say custom. These are the custom units here that we're working on.
Wow, that's great.
Tandem axle trailer. Box in the front, slide out shelves, stainless shelves on the side here, and then that big old monster there.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm telling you, man. This is what I try to push.
That's
this is
gorgeous.
What I love. So
look at that.
Yeah, it's crazy how big that is, and it's got a grill on the other side. And then back here in the boneyard, that's where all these that's where all these guys are, and these are all tank projects,
Okay. Who is that? Is that for a person, or is that for a restaurant?
So this one here?
Yeah.
This one's for a local catering company. These guys are going to be starting up basically as soon as I give them the go ahead to come pick it up.
Wow.
It's gonna have speaker on it. It's gonna have generator. It's gonna have Blackstone on it. It's got everything on it. Flip out awnings on the roof. These guys are going to be setting up at a local brewery here in town. So they're chomping at the bit right now. They're waiting on me to tell them to come get it so they can start booking their events.
Now is that cooker going on that? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So that big spot right there.
Yeah.
Is where that thing just slides right in. And then this spot right here is where that grill that's on the other side is going to go.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, check out. Yeah, once these are done, man, I'm real good about taking pictures. Check it out on the Instagram page. It's at AJ's Custom Cookers.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it finish. Gosh, wow.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Then you kind of see how I feel about it and where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So as far as the business is concerned, I call it AJ's Custom Cookers and Fabrication because I have a need to do fabrication, like no matter what it is, anything. So my main fab guy is this guy right here. That's Eric.
Nice to meet you.
A little bit of exhaust work there. We have probably 3 or 4 different contracts with some guys in town fabricating their parts and stuff like that. So I keep him busy doing that stuff. And then this is Bobby. He's my main guy. I can't ever get him to stop working. Say hello, Bobby.
Hey, nice to meet you. He's like, let me work. Let me get this done.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what he tells me. And I'll be, sometimes I get in his way. So, I mean, that's basically the gist of it, and I've got my little spot here where on, Fridays or every other week or so, I cook for the guys and we kind of hang out here cooking food, or I try to do what I can, which this, by the way, was one of the very first big ones I ever built in my garage that told me to get out of the garage.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That's so... And then the True Tell, is there a specific reason why you use that type of thermometer?
The Tell True?
Yeah, Tell True. Tell True. Yeah.
Apparently they're the best on the market, so that's what I went with. I've seen a couple of guys using them that had their logos on it, so I started doing some research on how to do that and ended up getting you got to do a crazy order for them. It's insane how much you have to spend on them to actually get them here.
Wow.
Yeah, my shop is on my property. I've got a great spot for hang out, get a couple beers, or if you want to hang out inside the shop and let the flies get in your nose, that's fine too. Flies are horrible here in Texas.
Yeah, I know. I lived in Taylor and worked in Austin for a year, and that's all there were bugs that I didn't know existed.
Oh my God, chiggers is the number one bug that nobody knows exists.
Yeah, my legs were like covered with spots.
It's insane. It's insane how bad they are. My kids were back here running around by these tanks, and they're like, "Dad, what's wrong with my legs?" And I said, "Man, you need to get back. Go put some jeans on, get those flip-flops off."
That's so crazy.
That's exactly true, though.
So where are you going on vacation?
We're going to go to PK, Possum Kingdom Lake, for 3 or 4 days. We're going to come back for a day and then take the kids over to Great Wolf Lodge.
Oh, that's great. Okay, yeah, they have one of those out here somewhere, like Orange County.
Oh, I'm not a huge fan of Great Wolf Lodge because they just want to run around and wave that wand at everything.
Do they have a wand now?
They have you buy this wand for $5,000 or something like that. And
I thought it was $10,000.
You take the kids on an adventure around this around the hotel, and they unlock these stones and gems and treasure chests and stuff like that. And
I think they have that at like the Harry Potter things at Universal. I think that,
exactly,
yeah.
that's where my 10-year-old's bugging us to go next. And I
Oh.
don't I don't ma- I don't make that kind of money.
But it seems, yeah, it's, yeah. So I was talking to somebody. They were saying that they took their, I think it was they took two kids to Disneyland for 4 days, and it was like $5,000 or something like. That's a lot of money. And he said that his
That's
kid, every
insane.
time they almost got to the ride, the kid had to go to the bathroom, and so they're like, oh,
Exactly. Well, and not just that. Kids are kids.
yeah, it wasn't his fault.
They'll have fun for a little while, but
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
lot more work for us
yeah,
to do all
definitely,
this stuff and to get them to keep them happy.
exactly.
It's just, to me, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
I'd rather wait till they're old enough to enjoy it and go do stuff on their own.
I agree. No, and then yeah, and then do older kid stuff that's more active
Yeah,
outside. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure,
Well, AJ,
for
thank you
sure.
so much for taking the time. I really feel like I have a better sense of what you do and who you are, and I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. So I think a lot of people will get a lot of information, and I want one of the reasons why I want to talk to you and any other pit bills or with people within the barbecue world is to give people a chance to know who they are and what they offer, because like people might not know. They can tell from their website, but they might not know where you're coming from and see your passion
Sure.
with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get that, and I,
That's
I appreciate you wanting to know about me. It makes me feel really good that somebody cares.
I do for
You know,
sure.
I have very close personal one-on-one conversations with everybody that walks through my doors, man. And if they walk out of here with a pit, that's great. If they don't, I've got a friend,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I tell everybody that I come across, you're always welcome here.
excellent.
Anytime you're in town, shoot me a text. That's the best way to get a hold of me. We'll line up a lunch, a dinner, come hang out, throw the ball around. I don't care,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Well, we could next time I come out, we'll get some barbecue, have some beers, or just hang out at your place. That'd be cool. Or cook.
I know a couple spots.
I think you do. Well, have a great rest of your week. Have a nice Fourth, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, stay safe, man. Thanks for the call. I
Hey,
appreciate it.
thanks so much, AJ. Take care.